Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my review for S.H.Figuarts Common Rider. Oops, that's, habit.
Dawson Rider review.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my review for S.H.Figuarts Zenkaiser Black from Avataro Sentai DonBrothers. If you're not familiar with who Zenkaiser Black is, well, welcome to the club. Nobody knows who he is. But he is the variant of Kaito we see in the series wearing a special edition costume. And this is an exclusive figure, which is why it's taken me a while to review, because I did not pre-order it at the over $100 price tag they usually go for if you want to get a middleman service getting you an exclusive figure. However, you can gamble on the aftermarket, which is what I did, and I will talk about that more in the final verdict, because this review is not about the aftermarket, even though it's going to be mentioned. But accessories-wise, he does come with basically all the same stuff you got with the original one. You got your classic variety of hands, some karate chop hands, some open martial arts hands, some holding the weapon hands, and then of course you also have his changer, just like the one from the show, which is a classic, nicely detailed Figuarts weapon, and you can even move this. Whee! It's actually really hard to crank. Like, I'm imagining them doing it in the show and be like, all right, let's go, Zenkai! Zenkai! Oh god, the way I did that voice actually sounded like one of the obnoxious Toku voices. But it's going to be a fairly short review, as this is basically the same exact figure as the standard Zenkaiser one, it's just done in black and white. Like, it literally looks like a negative image. I mean, just for comparison here, you can see it's the same figure, it's just a different repaint. And I obviously gave that a positive review. I think Figuarts can be a little bit too expensive for my taste, especially the exclusives, but they're overall really nice looking figures. They've done a really good job, in my opinion, so far, bringing back Sentai Figuarts. The proportions feel nice. You can see that from both of these. These both look, honestly, except for seeing the folds from the articulation, they look like the suits. They look like well-proportioned, they look well-detailed, the compound eyes stand out, the colors stand out, they just look really great, and I couldn't be happier with the way they look. I'll pick up the figure and mess around with it in a little bit. I mean, not like in a weird way, but to show you the articulation, but they both feel very solid. Not like uber solid, like they're not going to become loose in the future, but they feel like a solid quality collectible. Just in regards to the other comparison you have, obviously you do have the basic figure here, and the basic figures are nice alternatives for people that want something cheaper or something right away, not wanting to wait for the Figuarts, but obviously if you're wanting the best one, you're going to want to get your shoulder pad down. This is a review, look presentable. Anyway, but obviously there's really no comparison. I mean, the price is like 5, 6, 7 times, 8 times more. But, if you want one that looks the most accurate, there's really not a comparison there. I think that it just depends on the basic figure, too, because some of the basic figures, like, for pink and black, I actually think look pretty good, like, in terms of, like, wanting to represent it for your collection, but, like, those, this is a clear superior pick. But like I said, overall detail-wise, this looks great. I think the blue compound eyes look really beautiful on this and contrast really nicely off the black. And overall, like, there's not a lot of details on this. It's a really basic look to it. It's just black, white, and silver, but it looks really good. The silver has a nice look to it, where it has this brushed, shiny look, but it doesn't stand out too much and it doesn't look too dull. And the paint overall looks nice and clean and professional. And like I said, the figure art has a nice feel to it. It doesn't have a super weighty, expensive feel. It does feel a little bit more brittle than certain other collectible figures, but it does have a nice, solid quality feel to it. Like, it feels like a decently high-end collectible. And like I said, the articulation feels nice, no loose joint problems, overall feels solid. You're probably familiar with articulation. Well, you're probably familiar with articulation if you're watching this, but I was going to say you're probably familiar with Figuarts if you're watching this, but they are some of the best articulated figures you can buy. Figures you can buy. The name Figuarts being so close to figure creates a lot of problems. So you're going to have a really great range of motion, a step above the Lightning Collection in terms of articulation possibilities. And then you do have the cape here, which is kind of this cheaper looking plastic material, which is probably one of the only cheaper looking parts of the figure. It's not a deal breaker or anything. Honestly, it looks totally fine. Not a huge thing, but it does feel a little bit cheap. I don't know how else you could do it differently, though. If they went like regular cloth, it would look too cheap, I think. And then there is like the sturdier plastic, which gives you less opportunities, but that's really a nitpick. The fact that it feels a little bit cheap in comparison to the rest of the figure is kind of more like a, like I said, a nitpick, and not something that would deter me from recommending the figure. Honestly, I'm just really happy with this figure. I really like the Zenkaiser suit. I really like the Zenkaiser Black suit even more, which is funny because when it first came out, I was originally a little disappointed because I thought it was going to be like a full-on Black Ranger suit, maybe like black and gold, and I was disappointed. It kind of looks like a negative image, but it's really grown on me a lot, and I really do like his character in the show, so I really wanted to get the figure, so I'm glad I was able to find a decent price for it. And just, I want to get into that recommendation-wise. I think if you can find a good price, around, I don't know, anywhere between 70 and I would say max, I would maybe pay 90. That's like a little bit too much even for me. It just depends on how much if you want it. But I'll say it's a good figure. If you're willing to pay a little bit and you can, and you're also willing to spend some time hunting down a good price and you're a fan of the suit or the character, I can recommend it. It's an overall really good figure I'm happy with. I'm just saying the aftermarket can be very hit and miss, so I would just be willing to shop around a little bit. There's been times where there's been characters that I'm sure are so popular, they're going to be hard to find on the aftermarket, and then years later you can find them for dirt cheap. And other characters that I thought weren't so popular that wind up going for 3-4 times the price. I was lucky enough to find this around about a little under $80. It was about like 8,000 yen. It just depends on what the exchange rate that was that day, and I found it on Mandarake. So I would keep an eye on Mandarake, keep an eye on Ami Ami Used. Those are good places to get it, and I would pay around that price max. I don't think it's worth over the $100. If you want to spend that and you can, more power to you, go to something like Tokulectables. I just don't think Figuarts are worth over $100. But they are very nice figures, and if you can find a good price, I can recommend it. I'm happy to finally have my hands on one. Now can we just find out who he is? Seriously, who are you, dude? But anyway, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.